Right, so it's like a kind of talk show, but I'm not going to do all the talking. We're going to start. I'm going to talk to David. He's from Dudley. He's a Conservative, as you might be able to tell from his little Conservative badge. Let me just say, straight up, some of the people we have on are paid up members of the Conservative Party. Some of them aren't and have come along specially to take part in this session. So we've got a mix of people. And what we're going to talk about right now is the impact on people's bank accounts, the concern that people have about their savings. And I'm going to ask David to tell us something about what he did and the decision you took, David, with your pension and the decision to put that pension into a savings account. David.
I became self-employed in 1979 and I saved regularly in a monthly plan. About 5 years ago, I had my annual report come through and found that my pension was worth less than it was 12 months earlier, and yet I'd still paid a further 12 months. I saw my accountant. He said, "David, I think this is a little bit of Gordon Brown taking some of your pension away. What are we going to do as the Conservative Party about that sort of thing?" Because I was a little annoyed. I put it into a savings account. We took it all as a lump sum, put it into a savings account with a high interest, and I'm quite happy that way because it's easy to save money myself than give it somebody else so that Gordon Brown can have some, I think.
And what do you, when you see the news about, well-established banks in trouble, what does that make you think about the savings and the security of your savings and so on?
I'm very concerned about banks because, quite honestly, banks are businesses. And when I had my little business, I had to go to the bank with a business plan. I wonder whether banks have business plans. If they do, what are they? Because the Bradford and Bingley is going tomorrow, so we believe. It may well be on its way today. But I just wonder where we are going with these banks now. Especially, we would never have dreamed that the Halifax, which, when I was a lad, we used to put our name down for a mortgage, wait for 3 months for the people to tell us that we could have a mortgage, and we could only have 2.5 times our income. Those days of... Unfortunately, that is what spoiled, I do believe, the mortgage market. They have built up, the banks have built up more money than what they've got owing to them.
Well, that's a very astute point, which seems to have been lost on some of the people running the banks. Let me turn to you, Maggie. In Solihull, tell me, are people coming up to you? Are they concerned about their savings? They're concerned. How is what they're reading about the financial system impacting on their life?
Yes, well, they're coming to me and saying just that they've worked hard and saved hard, like we're all encouraged to do, and now they're fearful about how safe their money is. They've seen Northern Rock go, and now Bradford and Bingley, and they're wondering just if the building society or bank that they're saving with, if that's going to be next. So they're very concerned about the security of their money, and some are even saying to me it'd be safer under their bed, but I'm not quite sure if we could encourage that or not. But I think the thing is that they're realising that if with government bonds, some of their money is safe, but they may not be able to get access to it quickly as well. And I think as the job market's quite insecure, people may need ready access to their money that at the moment they may not have if one of their savings accounts is in trouble.
And do you get taxpayers who are concerned when they hear about these big sums being paid to sort out the problems caused by some of the banking systems?
Very much so, yes. They're saying if so much money can be spent there, can it not be reinvested somewhere else? And as David has said, the banks don't seem to have their business plans, and so many people in my constituency run their own businesses, and they just know how hard it is when they go to the banks to get extra money, how they've got to prove it all, and it seems to be a different story for the banks themselves.
Well, I certainly also think that the regulators, who after all have known for a year about the problems at Bradford and Bingley, to take the current example, have a lot to answer for. And the person who created the regulatory system, Gordon Brown, also has an enormous amount to answer for. But it's going to be our job to clear up the mess. And so I'm going to now talk to my colleague Philip. We've got some proposals, David, Maggie, which you might be interested in, particularly to help people with savings to ensure that they feel safe about the savings in bank accounts and building societies? Philip.
Well, David has clearly been the victim of a double whammy. He realised he'd been hit by Gordon Brown's pension raid, so he took his money out of the pension fund, put it in a bank, and now he's looking around him and worrying about the safety of banks. And he's not alone. People are fearful about their savings, fearful about their jobs, fearful about the value of their homes. And if we're going to rebuild confidence in our financial system and confidence in our economy, it's essential that we reassure people. And so a Conservative government will introduce a £50,000 deposit guarantee so that anybody, and that will cover 98% of deposits in the banking system, so that anybody who has up to £50,000 worth of saving can be absolutely sure that their savings are not only guaranteed, but that they will be able to get rapid access to them. Because as David Cameron mentioned in his opening remarks there, it's no good having a guarantee that your savings are safe if you have to wait for a year for the mess to get sorted out before you can get your hands on them. So our commitment is that you will be able to get at your savings within maximum 7 days of a problem occurring with a bank. That system will be funded by the banks, as the current deposit insurance system is, but it will be guaranteed by the government. And we have to do that so that we can make the payout quickly and then collect the money back from all the financial institutions afterwards. And by introducing that degree of reassurance to savers, we also create much more freedom for policymakers. Because when a bank gets into difficulty, policymakers will be able to look at that bank and decide the best way to deal with it without having to worry about the security of the deposits within it, the security of the individual savers, because they will be absolutely guaranteed by the system of deposit insurance that we will put in place.
I mean, let me just say to everyone, I know that David held up a copy of this document when he was giving his speech earlier. It is a very, very comprehensive and detailed plan that covers all sorts of areas of economic policy. Some of it's very technical, some of it is easy to understand, but it covers everything from the macro-prudential regulation of our economy to helping depositors and savers in the event of their concern about their bank. So I do urge people to, I don't expect you to read it all at one sitting, but take it back with you at the end of this conference, study it, read it. It enables us to show that we are the party with the long-term plan to help end this dependency on debt in our economy. It has that specific proposal that Philip mentioned, and I should just, before we move on to the next topic, I want to ask David, do you agree that having better protection for people with savings, and also, perhaps most importantly, the assurance that you can get your money quickly if there's a problem, would go a long way to reassuring people who are concerned?
I think it would stop the queues outside Northern Rock.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
I agree with what you're offering. I do, yes, I acknowledge that.
Maggie, in Solihull?
Definitely. I'm sure it'll put people's minds at rest tremendously. Yes.
Great. Ladies and gentlemen, please thank all our panellists and wish them well. Thank you very much.